Welcome to Week and Geek, your new comics preview for June 5th. I'm Mike Ortiz.
And I'm the Chris Brown.
What do you got?
I'm going to kick it off here with some Valiants. They're doing their 8-bit covers this week, which are really kind of cool. We've got Shadow Man number 7. This has been, again, fun book. It's not the book I want it to be yet,
Right.
But it's getting there. They've introduced Master Dark. They've got some things going with that. The 0 issue, what ended up being was the origin of Master Dark and Sandra Dark, which I've been waiting to happen. I was hoping Sandra would be in there. She was a big part. Their origins are strange, but really good, kind of twisted, sort of dark. I really, really enjoyed it. I don't know that they've got a big plan for Sandra necessarily other than what they've done with her here. Okay. I hope we see her again. But now we're jumping back into the main part of the story. It's like a little bit of weirdness. This was a book that I was caught up on. Our Shadow Man is still kind of, right now it looks like Master Dark is with the weird monkey spirit animal of Jack Boniface. There's some weird stuff going on in this book. But I'm hoping...
Anything with a monkey spirit.
A monkey spirit guide and voodoo, yeah, I'm in. I want it to be better than the descriptor, but I'm liking it. Next up, I've got Archer and Armstrong. This is, I believe, issue number 10. Looks like issue 18 because the digital 0 is got the weird dot in between, but...
It's 10.
It's 10. Kind of a Donkey Kong sort of thing going on the cover here. These 8-bit covers are cracking me up. I'm loving it. And it looks like, I think, either Marvel or DC's following suit in a couple of months. I saw something in the catalog. I was like, really, guys? I mean, in the 90s, the bigger two were stealing all of Valiant's gimmicks. And now everyone's forgot they were Valiant's gimmicks.
Right.
Now they're stealing the 8-bit gimmick. Again. This has been a fun book, though. I really, really... Oh, Aliens?
I saw Gray.
Shirtless chick in a bra with what? I don't know what's going on here. Weird. I don't know. All right, strange. She's pregnant, but then she's not. Maybe her belly's a bag with a gun in it.
Interesting stuff.
That's a right to life dream right there. Anyway, so I won't get political. All right, Detective Comics. Moving on. Detective Comics number 21. I love what John Layman's doing with the Batman books. I really enjoyed the way that Penguin, the Emperor Penguin story wrapped up. They've made a really cool villain. I mean, now he's in prison. And I think they can do some cool things with that character. Cool. And now Penguin is back, and there's going to be a Penguin story going on with the Catwoman or whatever. But I just like what's going on here. Was that Richard Dragon or something? Or is that Bruce? I don't know what's going on. It looks like that Richard Dragon character. Yeah. He's doing Kung Fu. Basically, it looks like Shang-Chi, but it's in DC. So, but maybe that's Bruce. I don't know what's going on here. Is that Harper Row? Yeah. So now he's using Harper Row. So interesting. She had been a character that Scott Snyder was using. So I think what Layman's doing here is really cool. He's using everything that they're doing in the Batman universe already, but he's telling good, solid Batman stories. Cool. Then I've got the Fearless Defenders. This looks kind of a Street Fighter cover. I don't know what's up with the video game stuff. I don't know. There's lots of weirdness going on. This is a book that I'm caught up on, but I do not remember what was going on. I was
just
reading
look at the pictures of Misty Knight.
Pretty much. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. It's like, ooh, Misty's pretty. Whatever. They're chicks fighting stuff. Storm's got a mohawk in here. But don't ask me what the story's about.
Marvel's really got this thing about whole teams full of women.
That's fine.
Good for them.
As long as they got Storm and a mohawk, which they have in both of them. So that's good. I'm okay with that. Then I'm looking at 10 Grand number 2. I want to see where this book is going. The first issue was interesting to me. It was intriguing to me. I didn't love all of it. There were things I liked, things I didn't like. I really think Ben Temple-Smith's sequential art here is outstanding. A lot of times I feel like he sits still. It's sort of static. It doesn't feel that way in this. I feel like it moves very well. There is a guy that's trying to help a young lady, I think, find her dad. Just to sit down with him, you got to pay 10 grand. I believe there's some kind of angel or demon that ties to his backstory. And I don't know. Straczynski doing weird. I'm okay with that. East to West number 3. Another weird one. It's kind of about the apocalypse. It's kind of a Western. It's kind of futuristic. It's kind of jumping around in time.
Yeah.
It's the artwork here, I think, is incredible. This is what, Nick Dragotta? Is that his name? Yeah. The artwork is just fantastic. I am not entirely sure what's going on yet. I am a little bit behind. I was only able to we were discussing this as in our pre-show warm-up here. I wasn't able to get through the last issue. Not because I didn't want to. It just, something came up, and then I didn't realize I hadn't read all of it until I sat down for this thing. I was like, oh, I haven't read all that yet. I got to go back.
And
there's a lot going on.
Yeah. But it's good stuff.
It really is. The artwork's incredible. Hickman's fantastic. It's going to be good. I just got to go back, catch up on that too. Push forward on the 3. Blackacre number 7. This book's filling some kind of weird, void for me. I don't even entirely know what's going on. There's a lot of extraneous characters that I'm getting lost in a little bit, but we're beyond the wall now. Not Game of Thrones style beyond the wall, but we're beyond the wall with the other stuff, the building with the rich folks. There are soldiers from that have incorporated themselves into a weird community, kind of reminded of The Village, but no planes are going overhead. There's religious overtones with the military and kind of post-apocalyptic, but it almost feels like that show Revolution,
Strange.
Which I also don't watch.
Yeah.
I like it. I know it doesn't really sound like I do, but I do. It's a solid story. It's a good story. There's nothing flashy about it. It's not like a lot of these image books where there's just a lot of flash and you're like, oh my god. It's just a solid comic book. Mm-hmm. Right now, like I said, it's filling a void for me of the weird other stories. Like it combines so many other things that I'm familiar with, but also takes, like I said, some elements from that show, kind of Revolution, that I just didn't want to watch. Mm. And it's working for me somehow. Then we've got Invincible Universe number 3. I've not cared for Guarding the Globe or any of the other stories they've done previously. This really feels like a companion piece to Invincible. I like what they're doing. There's some good stuff with the other characters, some of the other teams that are involved in this. And we're also finding out more about, and I'm totally drawing a blank on his name, the guy that Mark's always got to answer to. What is it?
Oh, yeah.
Cyrus or
Cecil.
Yeah, there you go. Cecil. Yeah. He doesn't look like he's in this book, though. I don't know what's going on with this particular issue. I don't recognize a lot of people in here.
Nice artwork, though.
The artwork looks great, but did they put the cover around the wrong book? I don't know. Like, it doesn't look like an Invincible Universe book. There's no characters I recognize. No idea what's going on. But, yeah, we'll give it a go. We'll see. Indeed. Then I've got, this could have been a top pick, if not for my top pick, and kind of how I'm excited about how that's bringing back some 90s love for me. Yeah. I frequently talk about the 90s love. Christopher Owen, who's always watching, said he feels like our 90s is over, and I said, you watch your mouth. But then I didn't remember which side of that argument I was on. So, but anyway, getting into the current book here, I've got Bedlam number 7. This marks the first issue of Ryan Brown as our lead artist, instead of, Riley Rossmo. I miss Riley.
Yeah.
But I really like Ryan Brown. We both sung the praises of him. We both, I think, kicked into the Kickstarter for God Hates Astronauts.
I got my hardcover.
As do I. I went with a personal insult edition.
I just got the regular.
Which he made fun of me about my history of domestic violence, but also cited that I have the same name as his brother. So now this book it's a new story arc. It's definitely kind of going in another direction, and it almost feels like a different direction because it's a different artist. And there are moments where Ryan's stuff he draws Matter Red.
Yeah.
The way Rossmo does. The other stuff is not. Very much
a little bit of a different style for
yes,
for
absolutely.
He's changing his style to suit the book a little bit, which is nice.
And it works. I think there's some good stuff. When you get into Fillmore here, Fillmore looks like Fillmore. He looks like, the same guy that Riley was drawing. Mm-hmm. And something that really sort of impressed me, a little Dawn Donuts reference. And Ryan Brown is a former Detroiter. He lives in Chicago now, but he is from Detroit. I threw him a little kudos and said, hey, I appreciate the Dawn Donuts reference. Haven't seen one of those in Detroit in probably over 20, 25 years.
It's been a while.
He commented that the Dawn Donuts he used to frequent when he was a boy was the one where the big shooting occurred. Now, I remember hearing about it. I don't remember intimate details. I'm sure he does. And because there was a shootout at the donut shop that he used to frequent, that's why it ended up in here.
That makes sense.
The mass murderer, the thing, that's a cool little detail in there. And that's why you watch WeekNGeek. You ain't going to get that anywhere else. It's good. It's really good. I think the artwork is stellar. I'm really looking forward to seeing where it's going. But like you said, it is different, and it's even a different approach from him. Mm-hmm. But it's still Bedlam. It's still Nick Spencer. It's a great book.
Cool.
What are you looking at?
I'm going to start off with Thanos Rising number 3. This is Jason Aaron and Simone Bianchi. The first issue of this was great. The second issue didn't hit me quite as well.
Okay.
in the last issue, he kills his mama, which is not a spoiler because that's always been part of the story.
Sure.
But we've got this mysterious female character that's kind of egging him on and guiding him. Is she going to wind up being Death? That's it's kind of the obvious thing, but
right.
we'll see. It's got great artwork, and Thanos is a great character. So seeing this kind of coming in, now a lot of people don't like it. Like you had mentioned, you didn't want the backstory necessarily.
I didn't need little kid Thanos,
but now he's grown up Thanos.
So I'm liking it better now.
And he's evil and wicked and doing horrible things.
That's what I want.
So yeah, good stuff. Next up, Earth 2, number 13. This is James Robinson, who is leaving the book. We got Dr. Fate in the last story arc.
Okay.
This one, I believe, we're going to get Commander Steel, the new version of Commander Steel. And we've also got the new Batman. This storyline is kind of tying into the origins of this book, with the Apocalypse War, because that's really how everything started. So Big Barda and Mr. Miracle are in the fray now. So yeah, we're getting kind of some interesting stuff here. I don't know really where it's going to go now that Robinson's leaving. He had some big plans. Whether or not they're going to continue his plans. There's rumors as to why he left, but we'll never really know unless somebody decides to talk. But in any event, still a pretty solid book. So check it out.
I'm struck by James Robinson as him being sort of an honorable guy. He's not going to say anything. And the rumor I heard came from another writer mentioning, well, here's what's going on. And, that writer can say what he wants, and it may be true, but I don't think you're going to hear it from James Robinson.
No. And he seemed to be leaving on good terms. He didn't say F you to them. He just says, good luck, you guys have different plans than I have. Time to move on. Next up, Green Lantern number 21. This is the first issue by Robert Venditti, Billy Tan. This was supposed to have a ring, wasn't it?
It's the next one. They pushed that back, and it's the next one that's going to have a ring.
Yeah, see, I was kind of excited for getting a new ring, but
I think it's just the old rings.
Yeah, but still.
Right.
Yeah,
but I think it's literally the same mold as Blackest Night.
So somebody said that it might be just like a different paint job.
Oh, all right.
But yeah, it's the exact same mold, I'm sure, that they've been using for everything. But this is the first issue with the new creative team. Jeff Johns is some big shoes to fill. So we'll see where it goes. Hal Jordan is now in charge of the Green Lantern Corps. The Guardians are dead. How that plays out, guess we'll see. Next up, Superior Spider-Man. So Peter Parker's gone from Doc Ock's head. So now how are they going to bring him back? Because they're going to bring him back. You do realize that, right? I'm just hoping everybody's kind of, it's not going to be Doc Ock in 20 years. At some point, probably around the time of the next movie.
You're not going to put out The Amazing Spider-Man 2 without a title on the shelf called Amazing Spider-Man.
If you look ahead to some of the solicits, he's getting a new costume, a costume that's going to have like 4 extra arms. So Doc Ock's going to tip his hand sooner or later, and then Doctor Strange will bring Peter back somehow. But yeah, I'm kind of curious as to see what Slott's endgame is with this. I was expecting.
I hope the endgame is Dan Slott getting fired off the book in dramatic fashion.
I don't think that's it. I think it's actually selling all right. So we'll see.
It is, but not to people that were reading the book before. They've all dropped off, so you're selling to new readers.
I was reading the book before.
Yeah, all right. A lot of my regular readers have dropped off. A lot of them have.
Oh, sure.
And it's been replaced by new readers, and the numbers are about the same. So when those people tire of that...
Next up, we've got Daredevil Dark Knights. This is Lee Weeks doing, it looks like, art and writing. Lee Weeks is a fantastic artist.
Agreed.
I really wish we see more of his stuff. And he was a great Daredevil artist.
Yes.
So this is...
I'm looking forward to
this.
This
is not... it's not necessarily out of continuity, but it's not necessarily just tying into anything. There's 3 issues by Lee Weeks, and I think some other kind of classic
They're going to jump
teams.
through, different creative teams. And
So, yeah, cool stuff. This is... They're really doing a lot of stuff with Daredevil these days, bringing back some classic teams. We're gonna mention one a little bit later, but this is really good stuff. I don't know what Lee Weeks is like as a writer. I guess I'll find out.
Right.
As an artist,
it's stellar stuff.
He's a good enough artist that I'm willing to give his writing a shot. Next up, we've got Kick-Ass 3, number 1. This is supposedly the ending
Okay.
This is actually the fourth installment, because
Right.
Kick-Ass, and then it goes to Hit Girl, and then Kick-Ass 2, and then Kick-Ass 3. So this is going to wrap up the story of Kick-Ass. I've really enjoyed this book. It's darker and more twisted than the movie versions. I'm curious what Kick-Ass 2, the movie, is going to be like. It's supposedly a real world look at superheroes.
Right.
Though it's not that realistic, but it does have some real stuff, and it's got some great art by John Romita Jr. and Tom Palmer, which I think is a great combination with Dean White. So I mean, if you're someone who doesn't like Mark Miller's more kind of twisted, misanthropic stuff, it's not for you. But if you actually like that stuff, this is really where he does it best. Next up, Superman in Action Comics number 21. It's still credited to Andy Diggle on the cover. Plot by Andy Diggle, script by Tony Daniel.
Okay.
I'm not really sure what's going on in this. Superman was infected by something that Lex was behind, and it looks like Lex is in this issue. To be honest, there's a backup feature with World of Krypton that's actually much more interesting than the lead feature here.
Okay.
I'm kind of sticking around on this book, mostly to kind of see what happens with. There's got to be another creative team coming soon, and because it's like I'm all about Superman right now because of the movie that opens next week.
Friday. Next Friday.
So yeah, this is certainly not. I actually like what's going on in the Lodell book. This one I'm not too sure about. Hopefully DC can get their stuff together on Superman, since this is really Superman's year.
Yeah.
Next up, Age of Ultron book 9. We got Wolverine killing Wolverine. That's what happens when you got the time travel. You got all that stuff going on. But they went back in time. They killed Hank Pym. The Age of Ultron timeline no longer happened now.
Right.
But the timeline that exists is still pretty horrible. Morgan Le Fay has got these weird Loki Doom hybrids. So they basically went from one horrible apocalypse to a not quite as bad apocalypse, which is really not much of a step up.
Well, and everybody's been changed. And
yeah, Captain America's got like one eye now, and
yeah.
So it's still not the Marvel universe that we know. I'm sure it will be by the end. How they get there, I guess we'll find out. Maybe Wolverine's going to kill Wolverine before he goes back in time and kills Hank Pym. Who knows? Time travel gets messy.
I've read it, and there is a moment where the Wolverines are talking to Hank Pym, and they're trying to work out and trying to explain to him, and there's some really nice moments watching Wolverine talk to himself and to Hank Pym, as Hank Pym is kind of saying, well, but what if I did it this way? See, I told you he's still going to do it. And they're working their way through it. But there is an important thing that's mentioned from Iron Man, as he's trying to go back and leave our Morgan Le Fay timeline. I'm not going to tell you what he says, because I'll leave something for you to enjoy. But I think that's going to ultimately be how they conclude this thing, and why they bring Angela in. Angela's supposed to show up in issue 10 of Age of Ultron. They've already announced variant covers, but he says something about the timeline, and I think that's what they're going to use to bring in an Angel.
Okay.
And sort of work it out. And
interesting.
So while that issue is fun, I didn't feel like it advanced the plot a whole lot. I think there are things in there that are advancing the plot and advancing what they're trying to achieve.
Cool. And on the subject of Bendis time travel, we've got all new X-Men. This time they're meeting the Uncanny Avengers. This has been a great book. We got Fin Fang Foom.
Oh, nice.
A nice full-page shot of Fin Fang Foom drawn by
I love Fin Fang Foom.
Stuart Immonen. This is a great book. This is probably my favorite book of all the Marvel Now stuff. The character dynamics are great. We've got young Cyclops with his younger but older brother Havoc. Really great stuff. I've really been enjoying this book. It seemed like such a simple, maybe kind of dumb, not dumb, but just strange premise for an X-Men book. But let me tell you, it's really given them a chance to do some cool stuff with the characters. So yeah, it's my favorite Marvel Now book. Quite close to that, we've got Avengers number 13. This is Jonathan Hickman and Nick Spencer. Looks like we've still got Diodato on the art. I believe they're in the Savage Land now, and there's some of the weird evolutionary creatures. I'm starting to get this book and New Avengers kind of confused.
A little bit.
Apocalypses. But the High Evolutionaries showed up. They're these creatures that have been part of this weird evolutionary stuff that that guy on Mars was doing. They're like perfect specimens. They don't breathe or eat or anything like that. They have no wants, no needs. And now the high evolutionary shows up, and that's never a good sign. Looks like Terminus is showing up. That's usually a worse sign.
So we're coming out of the fade and trying to do this quick. We're running out of power, technical difficulties. My top pick of the week is Astro City, now published by Vertigo.
Mm-hmm.
Formerly Image, Homage, Wildstorm, blah, blah, blah. I've not had a chance to read this yet, but I'm excited about more Astro City. Mm-hmm. We had that brief miniseries that came out a few years ago that was okay, and it was the Dark Ages, and it had a hard time. It wasn't coming out regularly. Yeah. But I'm excited about new ongoing Astro City. This is the way it should be. Some great stuff. As we said last week, people say Vertigo is dead. I think they're wrong. Yeah. The Wake was great last week. We've now got Astro City.
Cool.
You know what? Everybody else can suck it. What do you got?
My top pick is Daredevil End of Days, number 8. This is Bendis, David Mack, Jansen, Sienkiewicz, Hollingsworth. Basically, this is the finale for the old Bendis Daredevil. I know everybody loves what Mark Waid's doing on Daredevil now. Personally, my favorite Daredevil has ninjas and is miserable all the time. And that's what I got here. I must hate Daredevil because I like it best when they're making his life hell. Great artwork. We find out what Mapone is.
I was disappointed.
It's not that great, but hey, it's not about the mystery. It's about these cool-ass Bill Sienkiewicz drawings.
The Bill Sienkiewicz drawings are great. It ends up being a wonderful eulogy to Ben Urich more than anything else.
It's Ben's story.
And if you're a Daredevil fan, you're a Ben Urich fan. You have to be. You get to see how the rest of the Marvel Universe reacts to him. Mm-hmm. What Mapone ends up being, again, a little wah-wah for me. Yeah. But it's not always about the destination, it's about the journey. Yeah. And it was a pretty good journey. I like the idea that Ben Urich's son becomes the next Daredevil. Yeah. It makes sense. It's this sort of father and son, and the son wanting to be the father, and in the face of various things. It's a really, really cool book. Mm-hmm. Really well done. Mapone is sort of a...
You know, hey, Rosebud's the sleigh, but nobody really cares.
Yeah, right. And I guess, every time you bring up the sled, no one's there to go boom, 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 boom. And it's still a really good movie. Yeah. So. I guess
that's my top.
And a good book, solid book. And I guess while we still have power, that's your Week in Geek.
Yep.